Hello, just going to take a few minutes here to talk about something that would be just something to bear in mind as you go down your path in life and journey to becoming a really good knife thrower. I made some notes. I'm not a professional actor, so I got to rely on my notes a bit. Life, as you know, is such that we can't do the same thing every day. You know, interruptions, accidents happen, or you may get interested in doing something else, you know, go down another path for a while. So as such, you're going to have lapses in your training, your knife throwing. And knife throwing, like a lot of high precision skills that you learn, that you practice hard to learn, you know, involves mind, body, you know, coordination at all kinds of level. You know, you develop all that individually and also all together, so it all comes together when you throw a knife. It takes a lot. I mean, anything can throw, I mean, babies can throw objects, monkeys can throw objects, but throwing a knife, precision, and, you know, reliably hitting point first, what you're throwing at, takes a great deal of body, mind, you know, I would even say soul coming together to make this happen safely and reliably. And I'm going to do something here to demonstrate. Another life, you know, like knife throwing, something I've done through my life, off and on. Now, I only did that show off, I don't know, whatever. I play classical folk guitar. Give me an electric guitar, I can play other stuff, but I didn't learn that overnight. There was no shortcut to learning how to play Bach and other things on guitar. I had to practice hard to develop, you know, the same as knife throwing, mind and hand coordination. And you better believe I've been playing guitar off and on since I was a teenager, and that's been quite a while, as you can see. I injured my hands once, and I couldn't play. I couldn't play guitar for a number of years. So I got into other instruments that didn't require that level of dexterity. But lo and behold, my hands healed up, and I'm back into playing guitar a few years ago. And I found that, like that number I just played by Bach, Boré, I remembered how to play it, but I couldn't play it. My hands wouldn't do it. And it took me, not very long, it took me maybe two, at the most 3 weeks to where I could play that again. And as well as I did when I left off. And the same goes with knife throwing. I've been throwing knives since I was maybe 11 or 12 years old. And I also love to play baseball. I did when I was younger. And I had a really good arm. I was clocked at our state fair in New York throwing a baseball 97 miles an hour consecutively, and that was while I was drinking beer. I could play ball pretty good. I even in my 20s when I was in the Army started my own baseball team because I loved to play. And you know, when I was 30, I remember one day playing ball and I did something to my shoulder. I threw it out. And they say I threw my shoulder out. Well, that's just a kind of a duh way of saying I injured myself, because that was the end of my baseball playing. I couldn't throw anything took me better part of 10 years before I could throw anything with my throwing arm, which is my right arm. And I mean, when I'd throw something, you know, where I used to have a really precision gun, it was just like, I could be lucky if I could throw something 20 feet, just throwing something. It was I don't know what I did to my shoulder because I didn't take it very serious because it didn't really hurt a lot, but I couldn't throw anymore. And so I just let it go, but I tore something or injured something. And lo and behold, it was about 10 years. It took it about 10 years till I could throw again. And so I got back into knife throwing. Invariably, I came back to it. And it took me, it was almost like starting over from the beginning. I had to master the flip throw, and then the full turn throw, you know, and a lot of things. I had to learn it all over again, but I was able to learn it all over again at a much faster pace because while you do, it is a perishable skill. Skills like knife throwing or playing guitar at any proficiency. You do remember it. I think your mind and your body remembers it. You just got to get it tuned up again. And I noticed something. I want to say this. So don't lose, you know, inspiration if you take time off from throwing knives. Or if I took time off from guitar. Sometimes I just lost interest in playing guitar and put it up for 2 or 3 years even. Then came back to it with a new passion. And I found for myself, like with knife throwing, the same with guitar, if my skill level was here, and then when I stop playing, and then I come back to it, you know, it might be years later, it might be months, my skill level's down to here. Well, it takes me very little time to get back up to here again, and then something magical happens. I bring the skill level up a notch. I actually improve. I come back up to where I was, and then I always go up a step higher. And, you know, that leads me to believe that sometimes it's not such a bad thing to walk away from something you love. I'm not saying relationships. I'm saying guitar, knife throwing, you know, and come back to it. Unless it's how you make your money and you have to keep doing it. You know, I don't make my living off this, believe it or not. I wrote a knife book. I make about $30 a month off that, which is good. It's, you know, it's good. 30 cents. It's beer, gas, whatever, you know, it's money. And I don't know, I don't make any money off my guitar. I did play when I was younger, but it was just a hobby. So I didn't really push myself hard to learn this and the guitar. But I didn't beat myself up too bad over it if there were interruptions. I just come back to it. And it seemed to reward me for being faithful to come back to something I loved doing throughout my life. It rewards me, it brings me up another skill level. I don't know if it works that way for you. Let me drive on with what I've got on my notes here. Sometimes you need to walk away from something and come back, give it a rest and come back fresh to make gains. That's just me, that's my experience. If you start back with the basics and progress only after you remaster each skill level set where you left off. You know, you start back like I had to do it. I had to start back with just the flip throw. That's the basic. I use this actually quite a lot. I can throw pretty far with just a half turn flip throw from the blade. And I had to, you know, walk it through like I've shown in my videos on how to do the blade held flip throw and the handle held full turn throw. I had to walk it through. I had to start over from square one. And don't move on, you know, just like when you're learning. Do not advance to the handle held full turn throw until you've got the half turn flip throw from the blade. And you'll learn it. It'll come back. You won't have to spend much time remastering these things. It'll come back pretty fast. Walk it through, internalize it. It will help you. Just focus on sticking the knife first, just like you did learning. Stick the knife first, then work on accuracy. But always practice safe. All the safety stuff I put in here, and anything you come up with, use it always, so you can keep practicing. Keep your throwing sessions a little shorter at first to avoid arm injuries. I'll tell you what, I can tell you from life experience that the shoulder, I have strong shoulders. I always considered was the strongest part of me, my shoulders. A very complex joint, you know, it's got quite a range of motion. As a result, there's a lot of tendons in here, a lot of things work in here, and it can get injured easier than you may think. I know I threw this my right arm out. I threw it out when I was 30 playing baseball. And this one I screwed up pretty bad working a job about 5 years ago. Induced arthritis, tore some muscles and ligaments on a job I was working at. You can injure your shoulder and your arm easier than you think through overuse and repetitive. And there will be more on that in a little short class on how to avoid such injuries, which I wished I'd known when I was younger. Trust me, I know. I've screwed up both my arms in life, shoulders. Remember, knife throwing is a life's journey. Gains in skill can consistently be made over time, but they require consistent effort to maintain as well. Fully incorporate safety in your training. Bad luck doesn't cut any slack or take any breaks. Be mindful of any pre-existing injuries, like I have some, unfortunately, in this arm, but I don't throw with this arm. So you don't make things worse. Stretch, limber up, that's all in another class. How to avoid injuries such as I gave myself playing baseball. It took the better part of a decade to heal up. And stick with it. You know, it's a journey. I mean, it's like this thing. I mean, I started out playing guitar. It's just my, you know, real simple stuff. And then playing a simple chord seemed so hard to do. I really had to take a lot of effort to do it. Just simple stuff. And, you know, it took a lot of work. And I'm not where I want to be on guitar. That's what I enjoy about it. That's what I enjoy about knife throwing. It's a journey. It's a hobby to see how far I can take it, you know? So don't stress over it. Just practice safely, practice wise. And that's what this training course is all about. To try to get you to do. Alright, there are better guitar players and knife throwers than me on the internet, but that's it. Enough. Dismissed.